Good morning, friends. Welcome to Coffee Talk this morning. We're here in the woods, kind of up on Boucherie Mountain, and just enjoying what's around us. Now, what I will say is we've often filmed at this almost very location for other things in other times. It's much, much greener in those times, like especially Mother's Day, Father's Day.
Yeah.
This is usually very lush and green. And
I'm looking at some of the leaves, and they must think it's September because they're like yellow and like they're ready to fall. And I'm like, no. We're barely into August. But
yeah, I don't think that's a September. I think they've just been baked.
Yes, that too.
They're quite sun scorched. So we're just kind of enjoying the scenery around us, because even this has a certain beauty to it. In some ways, just like falling snow can look terrible, it has a beauty as well. But we're enjoying this place, and hopefully you're enjoying where you're at today and enjoying the Okanagan. And it feels like a lot of people have family here even throughout this month.
He says, like, as you look at me. Right now, as we speak. Yes.
Family coming in and out, and visitors, and it's good stuff. And so hopefully that's all going really well. We want to just take a few minutes to kind of look back and then look ahead. There's a few things that we actually want to highlight that are coming up that are kind of important to the life of Lakeview. But looking at this last week, Jeff kind of finalized this 3-week series on the Psalms, and kind of just a couple of random songs that really looked at the desire that we have and that God made us with, and so we called it the desires of the soul, and it really mattered, right? And it felt like he was leading us to the fact that our soul is longing for God.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wonder what that means. So, if as we look through these Psalms, and especially at Psalm 63 that Jeff led us through this last week, I try and picture, okay, what does that mean if somebody says they want more of Jesus, or I desire Jesus, or even like this psalm says, earnestly I seek you. Just trying to wrap your mind around that, because especially when we sometimes get into just the walk of life, okay, so what does it mean to desire God, but I'm dealing with kids and lunches and school and work and this and laundry and all of these things. Where does the desire of God come in all of that? If somebody asks you that question, I know that's very random.
Yeah. I think lots of things, but okay, so where to start? I think the desire is often that unnamed desire. And I think that's always worth pursuing. What is it? So when we have those moments where we're like, is this all there is? Like, is the purpose of life just getting my kid from A to B to C while dealing with this and that and all of this while going, well, every now and then people are like, so what is it you really want in life? And it's like, I don't know. I just want to survive today. And all of that.
Yeah.
And when you have those moments of clarity where you go, what's going on here? Like, what is the purpose of this? I think God's in that. And I think that is an opportunity to spark a desire for God, because he ultimately is the more. But I also think in a lot of ways, I don't know if this is answering your question or not, but what's interesting to look back is how people have always tried to satisfy that longing.
Yeah.
And I think, without saying too much about what we're going to look at in this upcoming Sunday, well, we see a lot of people tried to satisfy that with legalism. Or they thought legalism is how we actually get more of God. I desire more of God. Well, the way to get there is through legalism. But that doesn't work either. So I guess the thoughts in my head are, there's lots of avenues that people try and pursue, which is born out of a good place, a desire for God. They realize, and we sometimes see it amiss, and what they end up with actually isn't more God. They just end up with some other substitute, which I think a lot of people would say, well, that's an idol, right? Whether that's even a good thing, like, some version of God, it's still an idol. And how we get there is a multifaceted thing, but I think sometimes it starts with that. Well, what is the point?
Yeah.
What is this life really about?
Yeah. And even realizing it goes very much beyond, this binary sense of like obey or don't obey.
Yeah.
Live and just do all of these physical things or not, right? And there's something deeper, especially when we think about that sense of longing in our soul. Sometimes I think we maybe don't know it or feel it or realize it until maybe we're at the end of our rope on some of those things too. Yeah. Or we have a very fork in the road kind of moment, for ourselves or our family, or we go through this big issue, or that's where I feel like we recognize it, but it's even there in some of those mundane things too. Like when I'm doing laundry, I actually can be satisfied by my relationship with God Himself in how I do laundry or how I drive.
Well, and that's a great point, because I think the chaos of life is one avenue that can point people towards a longing for something more. As I look around the woods that we're in, beauty is another avenue that leads people to, and that can be like creation, that can be the face of a newborn baby, that can be, I don't know, maybe for some people like an incredible car. You're like, wow, look at that power that people have, and you whatever. There's things in this world too that point us towards a beauty that's found. And then there's I don't want to say routine, because routine just sounds boring, but it's in those moments sometimes where our hands are busy doing something, and we can become reflective, and we can become like satisfied in that way. It does, and I've brought this up in conversation actually in the last week a few times, but for me it reminds me of that like Brother Lawrence principle that he talks about, being satisfied with God while doing dishes. Yeah. And serving in that, because it's not just doing dishes, right? It's not just a selfish satisfying, but we're actually, in what often we do in those day-to-day service things or aspects of it, we're serving those we love, and we find a contentment in that, which is Christ-like in a way too, because He served those He loved. That points us to God in a way we might not expect.
The other thing that Jeff kind of turned us to in that is, as we have this desire and longing, like sometimes we also don't really recognize it until maybe we even feel like it's absent, right? Like we feel like God is kind of distant. Like we've probably heard that from a lot of people. I just feel like God is really far from me, or I'm far from God, or something like that. And, I think, yes, we do need to take a moment and think about, do I have unconfessed sin or something like that? Yes, I think that needs to be dealt with. But I think what Jeff was trying to point us to was to say, when you recognize that, it actually points us to the fact that we have a deep relationship with a loving, caring, merciful, gracious, compassionate God who knows our every circumstance, high and low, right? And so, like that desire and that longing and all of that, it actually should encourage us, maybe even a little bit when we feel like we're far from God as well too. And that's kind of what I was picking up as he was leading us through that as well too, because I believe that to be true. The amount of times where I feel far from God, and I know that He's there and He loves and cares for me, and that just shows when I am feeling that restlessness that God is very important to me, and my relationship with Him is important, is of utmost importance. And it's just a reminder, right? Yeah. It's a funny paradox, I think, too, to say I'm far from God. Well, actually that means you care and you love, right?
Yeah, I also think sometimes we just don't know where to look.
That's true.
It's almost like we just have turned, like if we could just turn around, and realize, oh, He's right there. I was looking in the wrong spot, because I don't want to, sometimes maybe we have moved far, but sometimes we just got distracted and stopped noticing everything that he was doing all around us, and his look, his closeness, and all of that. And or we become desensitized to know, experiencing him, or whatever, however you want to put it. But yeah, no, I certainly appreciate what Jeff was leading us to there in that, even that God doesn't feel close is a sign that, you know what, we were made for that relationship.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah. My favorite line in even that whole psalm too is that one line, as I sit on my bed, I think of you through the watches of the night. And I think about that too, because quite often in the middle of the night, if I've been woken up by something that actually has been, traumatizing or something like that to me, and I just sit and reflect on that one thing and how much of an issue it is for me, and I feel like that's a good reminder as well too, to say this problem, this issue actually is just needing to point me to Christ just a little bit more, and thinking of him like the amount of people that maybe even are dealing with insomnia or something like that, to say in those difficult moments of the night, looking to him and realizing he is fulfillment. Yeah, it doesn't mean you're going to sleep. That doesn't mean you're going to have everything better, but to know that he can still fulfill and satisfy even in those dark moments of the middle of the night too. I think that's extremely important for us to remember when we're not there, so that we can remember it when we are there.
Yeah.
So
I occasionally get asked, thankfully it's not every night, one of my kids will be like, if I wake up in the night with a bad dream, can I come and get you? And I think as a dad, like, one, you can, right? Like, why do you have to ask? But I think it's just that reassurance.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes even that is like, we just want to say to God, okay, if I wake up in the night, I can't sleep, can I come and get you?
Yeah.
Can I come in? And his answer is always yes. Wish I could say mine was always yes. Sometimes I'm so tired and grumpy, I'm like, just go back to sleep. Yeah. No, but like a good father, we can always go to him, and he's always there. And as I even said in communion a little bit, right, the thought that came to me in that was that sometimes that's when I remember the most important things.
Yeah.
Is when I'm laying in bed. But I also have been thinking about that too. I think of my bed as I think of this comfortable place. It should be a place of rest, a place of satisfaction. Like when you have been outside of your bed for 43 nights and then you come home and you're like, oh, my bed. But then I think about what beds were like in David's day. And it's kind of barely a mat, like it isn't that same place of comfort. And it's a place you need. It's a place of rest, yes. But it isn't that big, cushy, comfortable, designed by chiropractors to get, care for your back kind of thing that some of us have. And, but it is an important daily routine. And in a symbolic way, do we remember God in the midst of our routine? To bring it back to like we talked about with dishes and all and laundry and all of that, in the driving kids around, do we remember God in the midst of our routine? The things we need every day, the things we do every day, do we remember him then? And
so this is our encouragement to you, even a few days after this sermon has been preached. Remember him. Remember him, all through these walks of life. And so that's what kind of keeps bringing us to this Sunday morning gathering. What keeps bringing us to Coffee Talk is to be reminded, to be remembering. And hopefully in your daily walk, as you meet with others, or even as you just go for a walk in the woods on your own, that you remember him through the watches of the day. Right? One thing that we are going to remind you about is hopefully you remember that we have drama camp coming.
Yeah.
And so it actually is starting on Monday morning. And so it's right here. So we're ready for it. We're prepping a lot. There's all kinds of preparations being made, either from a leadership side or even from the kids. They need to know some of these songs before they even come to camp, because then they kind of put it all together, and it's going to be really awesome to see that.
My kids have been quoting the songs to one another, and I wonder how much that's a test to see if I recognize it.
Maybe.
You know, they have been learning the songs. They've been working on it so hard. They are so excited. And the cool thing is, I know it's not just your kids, it's not just my kids, but it's a lot of kids in our community that are really excited for Drama Camp.
Yeah.
And that makes me all the more excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be a great week. It's going to be a great presentation next Sunday, and so make sure you get there and get a good seat.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a good day.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. So Sunday morning, the 20th, like Chris said, that's our performance for our church to kind of take in and enjoy, and so invite friends and neighbors, and it's going to be an awesome time.
Yeah.
And the hope is to, within some time, maybe not live stream that morning, but for sure throughout that day, we'll have the video of that performance online, so that if somebody isn't able to make it or they're not here, then you'll be able to see it and enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
now, we get the fun of being there all week and helping out. It's kind of jumping in my head right now as people might be watching this going, I wish I was helping. If you've got time Friday night and want to come serve in the kitchen and be part of the fun of it and get a sneak peek at the show on the Friday night, talk to me on Sunday. Yeah. We'd love to, just need a small crew of people, love to get you involved there. Or see us on Sunday too. Maybe there's some setup help. Maybe we found a job that might need a body or so. Sunday morning we will be around at church, and if you got a few minutes to give, track us down, and we'll see if there's a place we can put you to work.
Yeah.
And this is definitely one of those things where many hands make they don't necessarily make it lighter work, but they make it more enjoyable.
It's fun. It's fun.
It is fun to share the load, because we bring more people into what the experience is like.
And that Friday night, in case you were unaware, is a performance for the families of those who are in the play. So so that they get a chance to see what their kids have been working on all week. This is kind of almost an exclusive time. So in doing that, you actually are able to serve the family.
Yeah.
So if you're able to help out Friday night, that would be awesome. Talk to Chris and connect with him this Sunday or right away. And so that's happening all this next week, and the performance is on the 20th. And then Sunday the 20th in the afternoon, there is a shower, a joint shower for two different families that are in our church, and we're excited to celebrate with them. And so if you have any questions or thoughts, please talk to Alana Bessie, and you can ask any question that's needed. I'm sure there's some help maybe needed there as well too. But
I feel like that's a great way to put it. In my head, I'm going, okay, I never really know what goes on at a shower anyways, and I assume that's... But also with Drama Camp going on, it's probably just a better week just to go, hey, we're going to let the professionals answer your questions.
So that's why I'm saying, you go talk to Alana,
Yeah.
and she will take care of your every concern.
Excellent.
Hopefully. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. We have full confidence. It's going to be all I know about showers, because Sheena's been to a bunch. They're fun, and it's just a way to support moms, especially moms who are, like, in this case, been part of Lakeview a couple years, but, it still feels new. And so it's a great way to get to know people. Maybe you're like, I don't even know who the moms are. That's okay. Come on out.
Yeah.
And get to know them. It's a great time for that.
And get to know the other people at your table too.
Yes.
Right? So
Yeah.
So this is for women. I'm just throwing that out there. This is for women of our church that's at that Sunday afternoon. And hopefully that's a wonderful time. Now there's other things that's happening every Sunday in the morning before the service starts.
Yes. Where you're going is we have a church library. We've talked about this before. Yeah. But we have someone new who's opening it up every Sunday morning for like the 20 minutes before the service. So at 9:40, you can. It'll be open. It'll be open until the service starts. So if you're looking for that nice beach read, we've got a few weeks of beach weather left, or you just want to, return a book. Maybe you were cleaning house this summer and you found an old Lakeview library book and But yeah, it'll be open 20 minutes before every service, which is a great time to.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe you just need to. You're worried about the guest preacher, and you're like, I need something to look at. I'll slip this book into my Bible, and I'll look really holy. But I'll just. Anyways, I'm kidding, of course. But the library is a resource that's pretty great that we have. We've had a lot of people over the years really investing time into that and money to make sure we've got a good selection of things. And so come take advantage of it on Sunday mornings. It'd be great to. A great way to grow is just reading a book.
Yeah.
And so it's great that we have someone making that available for all of us. So you should take advantage of it.
Yeah. So hopefully you end up having a wonderful week. We will we'll see you eventually, and then we'll jump straight into drama camp, and we'll be able to tell you all about it next week, and then share that Sunday, the 20th performance with our church, and it's going to be very exciting. Please pray for them. Please pray for our whole volunteer crew and team and leadership, and Lori, and she kind of helps us navigate all these waters. So blessings on you. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you around.